Right. Well, I'm joined by Habib Khan, the director and founding partner of Meristem Designs. Thank you so much for joining me, Habib.
Thank you for inviting me, Daniel. I really enjoy listening to your other podcasts on your website, so I'm honoured that you've asked us onto the show.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And where are you taking this call from?
I am actually based in central London.
Mhm.
Some of your readers may be familiar with the street behind me, which is Oxford Street.
Yes, that's a
So
big one.
we are right in the heart of the beast, so to speak. But yes, just off Oxford Street in an area called Fitzrovia in central London.
That's very nice. I'm actually based in London as well. I didn't mention that earlier.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't sound like I'm based in London. Indeed, I am. I'm originally from California, so we're
right.
actually not too far from each other right now. Um,
Pop over and we'll go for a beer later.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be lovely. And I noticed that we also have matching plants behind us,
Yes,
which is
yes.
nice.
We do. We look after all the plants in the office, and I thought I can't talk about plants without having some plants in the office. So these are the ones that I can give you a quick tour if we have time. But
Oh, cool.
this office is full of plants. This office has more plants than any other office you've been in. But yeah, matching plants.
Well, that is a really nice segue into the conversation because that's really what you do, and that's the reason I wanted to speak with you is because what really struck me, and there's a lot of different things that you do at Meristem, but what really struck me is that your company helps remove pollution from cities
Yes,
using only plants.
yes.
And what specifically caught my attention almost more than anything else is that you actually help remove pollution around schools specifically with just some clever, not very complex, but very clever ways. Again, just with plants. So
Well, very simple, actually, ways with
yeah,
plants. It's a very simple method, but yes, we can talk about schools.
yeah, and that's really fantastic. So just to level set, so that we kind of have an idea, and our listeners can get some context. Can you just summarize briefly what Designs does in two sentences?
Yeah, Meristem Design is an urban landscaping design company. So we specialize in greening up city centres. So we work with schools, we work with local authorities, we work with large corporations, and we work with business improvement districts.
Hmm.
So we go into an area that's run down, that's looking quite sad, that's looking quite grey. And what we do is we install plants. It could be living walls, it could be pocket parks, parklets, green screens, and green roofs. And we transform that area into. I mean, our motto is turning the grey green. That is what we do. We've even trademarked it, but that's what we do. We
Yeah.
go in and we turn the grey green, literally.
Well, that's I think that's a really great way of describing it. And indeed, if you take a look at your website, I have your website behind me. There's all sorts of green photos everywhere, and you have your green in the background there. And I've mentioned pollution a couple times already, but can you kind of kick things off by just explaining why the work you do is so important for the environment and sustainability?
Yeah, I mean, as your readers be well aware, the population has moved over the last century from the countryside into the city centre. So our
Yeah.
city centres are becoming more and more overpopulated. So space is becoming quite dense, and I think as people move into these city centres, I think the lack of greenery does really affect on their mental ability. If any of your readers are familiar with the term biophilia,
Hmm.
basically it's an innate connection between humans and plants that dates back to the dawn of time. Where we first came around, we came from the earth, from the plants, from the trees, and that connection. People forget about the connection, and they often don't understand why when they go for a walk in the country or they go for a walk in a nice park, they just feel better. They probably don't even think about why they're feeling better, but they will be feeling better. And if you speak to them, they will go, "Yes, I'm in generally an okay mood or quite a good mood." And the same individual could be walking around the grey streets, the underpasses, in a concrete jungle. For the same amount of time, and their mental well-being will be far less happier because the connection between humans and nature. It's simple, it's well known, it's been around for a very, very long time.
Hmm.
So what we do is we bring greenery into those areas. So we're working with on council estate. You may be familiar with tragedy of Grenfell Tower.
Yeah.
The estate around the Grenfell Tower, because that was just one block, but there is actually a housing estate around it. We're going around that estate with the managers to create like green oasis where the residents around there can go and sit there, can enjoy the greenery, talk to the other neighbours. So we're going in there, we're doing a series of green interventions around that estate, because estates are very, they're quite a brutal landscape.
Yeah,
So
indeed. They're very gray and tall and sort of soulless, really.
they are soulless. They were built for density rather than greenery. But if you're clever, you can find areas to green. I mean, a lot of them have balconies, they have windows,
Yeah.
they have roofs, they have communal spaces. So you don't always need flat land. They very rarely have flat land, but we can do greenery, which is where the living walls, which again I'm sure we're going to talk on. It comes in, but we specialize in finding areas where you wouldn't normally expect to green up. We provide a service called a green audit. So
Yep.
we go in to local authorities, or we work with local authorities, and we walk around the streets and we come up with ideas, and we go, look at that ledge over there, that's over a whole row of shops or houses. We put greenery on that ledge that cascades the plants coming down, and then we have an irrigation system to connect to it. Then maybe at ground level, we maybe put living walls on that building. And where there is some space, in London at the moment now, we're very busy installing parklets or pocket parks. And obviously,
Yeah.
being an American, you're probably more familiar with parklets than we are here. It's something you guys have definitely got a head start on us. If you've ever been
What
to
is
San
it?
Francisco, if you've ever been to San Francisco, you'll
Yep.
see a lot of parklets. And what they do is they convert car parking space into seating and planting. They'll take maybe typically 2 car parking spaces, which could be 10 meters wide, 10 meters long by 2 meters deep, which is the space of 2 car parking spaces. We then put a decked area in there. We then put plants, we put seating, we put activities for younger children, such as interactive games. We're doing a transport hub at the moment where we're putting a Wi-Fi hub into the parklet. We're also putting a water fountain into the parklet. So it's and at one end of it, where we're putting electric bike charge points for bicycles for consumers, and at the other end of the parklet, on the road, they're putting charge points for electric vehicles. So not only is it a community hub, but when people need to charge a vehicle, they will travel a mile or two, because not everybody has charge points at home. If it's going to take 40 minutes to charge your car, well, get out of your car whilst it's being charged, go and grab a coffee, buy a newspaper, spend some money on the high street, and maybe get to meet other people by sitting in a parklet.
Yeah. Enjoy
For the
some nature as well while you're doing it.
Exactly, yes. And we tend to put parklets in where high density population, so a lot of people in flats, converted flats perhaps, do not have communal gardens. So they can come downstairs, especially if it's a nice day, and make their phone call out in the sun, again, surrounded by trees. Our last parklet, we just did 4 parklets on one street in Hammersmith, and we had 16 trees, quite big trees. We had over 200 plant varieties.
Wow.
And we specialize in pollinating plants.
I was going to say, yeah.
Bees, definitely. So that's a parklet. So we put, and we're now moving to the next phase where we're doing pocket parks.
Right.
This is, so the parklet is a temporary, as in it's got a decked area that can be moved around.
Oh, I see.
The next stage now is actually dig into the tarmac, dig it up. You can only go so far below because you're going to have services. We then fill that area with soil, and we put edging around it. So what that then does is the roots are actually going into the road, and then next time there's a heavy rainfall, rather than the rainwater going into the water system, it goes and feeds our parklet.
This is something that I've been really interested in, especially in London. I mean, well, first of all, as an American, I thought it rains here pretty much every single day nonstop, which it doesn't. But when it does rain, occasionally you really see the water going down the sides of the road, and it just kind of goes into the gutter, and sometimes the gutter gets blocked, and so there's flooding in the road. And instead, you can have you can actually put water back into the water table and have it not go into the sewage and essentially go to
Correct.
the Thames or the ocean.
Well, what the big problem is further down in the fields and the countryside, because obviously the water needs to get to the sea via the rivers, and the rivers flood. They flood onto farmland, and they flood the roads because they just can't cope with the amount of rainwater. Lots of properties, they have the front yards completely like concreted over
Yeah.
to park their vehicles, which should be made illegal, because
I
you should
agree.
have spaces for the water to naturally absorb into the
Yeah.
ground, not go straight into the actual water table.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
So that's what the parklets do. I know we're going to pick up on some of the other things, like a living roof. So we do living roofs. So are you familiar with a living roof?
Only from what I've
Green
seen on
roof?
your website, but yeah, if you can give some background, it's really cool.
Yeah. Green roofs, we can retrofit them onto an existing roof, or it's even better if it's on a new build. What you do is, you, as the terminology might suggest, we can put wildflowers, you put grass, you can put nature on your roof.
Hmm.
So when you look down at it, perhaps from another floor, it looks part of your garden. It's great for, a lot of people come to us when they're doing planning applications for new builds, because, when they're extending their house or anything, it means that they don't see like an ugly building or a roof, they actually see greenery. From a nature's point of view, it's great because it attracts biodiversity onto the roof. So again, you have wildflowers on there, you have pollinating plants on the roof. In the summer, it keeps your property cool.
Yeah.
And in the winter, it helps to regulate the temperature, so it does reduce your utility bills.
Which is fantastic, save money, and you're also reducing CO2 emissions. There's Habib, there's one thing that I read on your website that you also add, in addition to plants on the living roof, you put beehives.
Yes, at Beehive, there's a series of beehives. We're doing a project at the moment now with a business improvement district in Bloomsbury called Bee Midtown, and it's a series of beehives on their roofs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great. You put the green roofs and you put the beehives next to them. You also put bug hotels. So this is anything that would attract them, that would create a bit of a habitat for insects, and but yeah, Sue's off them, because they need to connect, collect pollen maybe every, say, 100 yards or so. So you need a necklace of these green interventions in order for the bees to carry on their day-to-day journeys, and that having it on the roof is ideal. If you look down at central London on Google's satellite,
Mm-hmm.
you will see prime retail, prime real estate property all going empty. All you'll see is air conditioning units. That's all in the house. And you think, God, if you look at how much space there is on the roof and how few of the actual occupants are actually using the roof, it's such a waste.
What an opportunity.
What an opportunity, because
Yeah.
if you're in an office building, what better than grabbing your cup of coffee and going to the roof?
Oh man, I would do
Sit
that
in the
all the
sun,
time. Yeah.
sit in the sun, grab some chairs, chat to each other, because it's going to be less polluted up there, I guarantee you, than to sit on the curb edge outside a coffee shop on the street.
So that is a really interesting point, and I think that's kind of what goes back to what we started with about less pollution. And I was actually, as I was reading about what you do and the effects, because you have case studies on your site, it's pretty incredible to hear that just a few plants. I mean, I'm kind of simplifying, but just putting some plants on your roof or even just around your school can really reduce pollution by quite a almost shocking amount, I would say.
Yeah, in 2017, DEFRA, which is the Department for Environmental and Farming Affairs, and GLA, which is the Greater London Assembly, carried out a 12-month research on a school in Kensington and Chelsea. And what they did is they put green screens. So if you're not familiar with green screens, what they are instant hedgerows. They are pre-grown greenery that's grown onto a mesh background with a root ball at the bottom. So typically the plant varieties are like English ivy, or you can have jasmine. You can have different kinds of climbers on there. But effectively, pre-grown green screens are climbers that have been growing. Oh,
I'm just sharing the screen here just so we can take a look at it.
yeah, so we have got different types of climbers, different types of variety, and that's what they look like on day one. So they've been growing in a field somewhere for 3 years. We put the planters in at the ground level, and we surround the trees. So we surround the school playground with these green screens. So you know,
So
if you do,
they're sorry, just to interrupt there. So they're pretty much completely filled up already. Sorry, as in they're already
pre-grown. Yes, they are pre-grown because they are in the hedgerow, so they can be up to 3 meters high. I mean, if you do get an opportunity to jump back on our website, if you go into our projects and you go into our schools, you will see the schools that we've been working on. In the last 12 months alone, we have installed green screens in over 40 schools. We've gone to our projects, our project at the top.
Projects.
Oh, there you go, schools.
Yeah.
We click on the schools. Yeah.
Yep.
Scroll down, so you will see what you can. These are all photos of the schools that you've done. You can see a before and after. If you scroll down, you can see what that school looks like before, and then to the right of that, you will see what that this is exactly how it looked on Thursday, and this is how it looked on a Monday when the children came back to school. So we do the wooden planters using sleepers and the green screens all around this area.
So what does that do to the air and to the kind of environment in general?
Well, it does two things. One is it captures particulate matter. So this is
what is that for? If people don't know,
particulate matter in you know, if you're next to a road, it's invisible. It's invisible to the naked eye. It's a soup of particles that are so small that they're like micro milligrams. And what they do is they get into the lungs of the students, the children. You can't see them, but they are swirling around. So you've got NO, you know, you've got nitrogen dioxide as well, and that's captured in the ivy as well as the particulate matter. We've got photos of what these leaves look like before and after the rainfall. Before the rainfall, when you put your finger on the leaf is black. They are literally black. And then afterwards, you can see nature with the rainfall will wash away the dirt and the particulate matter. From a car, for example, every time a car breaks, the asbestos breaks, will release micro invisible particles into the air. Every time a car goes down the road, the tires, they just release these particulate matters. I mean, it is also around in carpets as well, so really trying to avoid it. But it's just a soup. You can't see it, I can't see it, but it's there, and they measure it.
And so the leaves, do they actually attract it, or is it?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
They go past it, they attract it, and
so it's like a magnet.
It is. So, you know, if we were to put glass there or metal there, they would just bounce off and bounce around it. But it is a sponge. And if you think our green screens, after 6 months, they can be 30 centimeters deep. So they need to get through that leaf to get into the playground. So what they found is that it reduced the pollution from one side of the screen to the other side of the screen by 40%.
40%.
Yeah, there's a full report on our website. They assessed it over 12 months, 40%. I said we visited, we installed the green screens at 40 schools last year. In London, there are 800 schools which breach EU legal limit for air pollution. So this is the EU saying anything over this limit is illegal. And over 800 primary schools.
Which is what age?
From 5 to 11.
So this is a critical age as far as health is concerned.
Yeah, it is. And they do include secondary schools in that figure as well. But that's just in London, there's 800 schools which breach EU legal limits for pollution. And that is 40 micrograms per parts per million. So, and even 40 isn't safe. That's not safe. But that's the limit they have. And we've gone to schools which is almost double this, that's 70. And when you go there, you can see the road outside. There's a constant flow of traffic, 3 lanes, 4 lanes. They've got bus stops outside schools, so the bus is idle. weight there. All the pollution, the diesel, which is a killer, comes out the back straight into the school. So what we do is we put the green screen to the barrier between the schools and the road. So our schools, we did a quick calculation, and there were 16,000 pupils at the 40 schools that we installed the green screens that are now within legal limits, are 40% safer. So that's 16,000 children in those schools have benefited from our work last year, which we're very proud of.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's certainly something to be proud of.
Yeah, thank you. And we've installed 3,000 square meters of green screen, 3,000 square meters when we did the mass of all the perimeter fences for all the schools.
So it was
So yeah,
a busy year.
It was a busy year. We spent a lot of time in schools. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I've had far too many footballs accidentally kicked it out of my head whilst I've been walking around the playground doing a site audit. But on the schools, we also, for free, we carry out connecting children with nature workshops. Completely free. We send people in who, because once you put the green screens in, the children are very curious. They want to know why. What is the screen? What's the purpose for it? So whilst they're curious, we go in there and we do half-day workshop sessions, and we explain to them the connection between humans and nature, pollination, what role bees carry out, what's the importance of a tree. And therefore they'll appreciate nature much more. They're also given a free seed tray, so they can take the seed tray home. They can pick their own seeds, they plant it, they put soil in it. Not all of them, quite a lot of them do not have gardens, so it's meant that they can sit on their windowsill. And they love it. They take it home and they have a competition, and then whoever's had the best seed trays within each class gets a token to go to maybe Kew Gardens and spend a day in nature. So it's all about educating them, and the response, the feedback we get is amazing. They are so enthusiastic about the greenery. In front of the green screens, they then plant some additional maybe edible herbs. So they can see from the seeds that you can get herbs, and what they do with the herbs is then they put it into their school kitchens and they eat them. So you can have carrots, you can have potatoes, you can have different types of like coriander and basil. So they can see from a seed growing into a plant, going onto their plate and eating them. So that connection, it's that's we've had a huge take up of that. So yeah, we're really pleased with that.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of secondary benefits as well. I mean, what you're from an educational point of view, and also, so not only are you removing pollution from the air, you're also, like you said, it's really important for people to have nature kind of in their vicinity and in their presence, from the point of view of calming people down and just kind of general good feeling. So by introducing the plants there as well, you're really helping the kids from that point of view too.
Yeah, and sometimes you do get vandalism of trees, especially when you put young trees in. Kids think, well, I can break it, but if you explain to them the value of a tree and how much benefit that has to humans, and hopefully that will help their appreciation of trees and nature as well.
Yeah, so laying down some important foundation, I would say, for the future.
Yeah, hopefully. Good.
And as part of your hard work with removing pollution from the air, one thing that you've been doing also is working with the City of London. Well, that actually means something different here in London, but with London in general, on car-free days.
Yes. Yeah, we've been super busy last year. What we do is we go and we organise car-free days for the local authorities. So we provide. We bring some of the countryside into the city centre. So it could be real lawn, rolled out across the grass. We can have hay bales. All of this gets recycled afterwards with city farms, or people often come along and just take the lawn and take it home with them. Why not? We have bunting, we have music, we have workshops, we have food, we have games like badminton, tennis. So what you do there, it just shows you what you can do when you remove cars for a day from the street. You can we involve like local stall holders. So if you have maybe a Thai restaurant, why not come out and have some taster sessions? Because what you'll do is you'll interact with an office worker that's never been to your Thai restaurant,
Hmm.
give them a small portion, a mouthful. So it's great because then you've got the local vendors. These are the people who may complain about you closing the street for the day, but all of a sudden they're seeing that they're actually getting more business, handing out their business cards. There's a real carnival festival atmosphere that happens, and the kids, there's lots of games for them. There's chalk. As I said, there's all kinds of different ball games that you can provide for them. So we have a big list of giant games that they can all play to keep them occupied as well. And it's just great. And we bring along maybe 30, 40 trees in planters. So we line the whole street with greenery. And our parklets that you see, we do have temporary parklets. We dot them around. So what we do is we just show a photo of that street the day before with cars on it, and then the day afterwards where you've got 300-400 people all on the street, all enjoying it. And sometimes it helps to persuade the local authorities to close that road off to traffic, and that has happened.
Permanently.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Which is, that, I mean, doesn't happen all the time, but that has happened. And if you want to make a case for it, that's how you do it. Do it temporarily and show people the benefits of removing the cars from the street. Because the car is, it takes up a lot of space and it doesn't actually return much on investment. But you put 300 people out there and they will spend money. They'll buy coffee, they'll buy drinks. Otherwise you'll have 6 cars and often they don't even move in central London.
Wasn't there recently a story about how certain parts of Oxford Street are going to be removed to cars? Did you have anything to do with that, considering you're right on it?
We are talking to the people who, when it does happen, we will be there with our parklets, so we know all the big players. But at the moment now, it's a battle between, the Mayor of London, who's all for it, Westminster Council, who put a stop to it. But I think it will happen. I think every time it comes back on the table, there's more and more weight for it every time. I think every year it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time when it does happen. Behind me is Oxford Street. It's an awful street to shop down. I would not recommend shopping on Oxford Street at all. And you look at it and you'll see the pavements are thronged with people, and then you'll see in the middle of it, I've got pictures of it on my Twitter account. You've got 3 buses in a row with either empty or one person in it, especially during the day. Because obviously peak times it's busy, but during they have the same number of buses, and you're thinking, God, look at all these buses taking up all this space, and that bus is empty, and that bus has got one person, and that bus is empty. And you look at the pavement, and they're packed with people struggling for some pavement space. So it's a really poor use of the streets. But in the meantime, more and more streets are becoming pedestrianised around it, so the weight and the pressure is mounting. So it will happen.
Yeah, and I'm sure the argument being that it's bad for business is probably going away as those other side streets are actually hopefully booming from more foot traffic, actually.
Exactly. I mean, the business improvement districts are all for it. So the organisation that represents the businesses are all for it. So it's not as though, because they know that the people who come here come on the tube and shop there. People who drive down the street are normally taxi drivers, and they don't stop and they don't buy some clothes on Oxford Street. They just drive through it. So they know it as well. Our parklets, for example, when we put our parklet, we put them outside businesses. It has a positive impact on the business, and our research with our parklets has shown that the businesses uplift by 20 to 30% every time we put them, which is huge. If you think about return on investment, it is huge, because if you've got a coffee shop there, you've got a wine bar, you've got a restaurant, something that way you can kind of linger around, and you put seating and plant and trees in a nice setting. Especially if the weather is nice, you grab a coffee, you sit outside, you talk to somebody. There's 2 coffee shops. I think nowadays all coffee shops are pretty good quality coffee. So, what's the difference? Well, one, you can sit inside a coffee shop, which is quite gloomy, or the other one, you can sit outside a coffee shop, which is 50 yards down, and sitting in trees and greenery and shrubland and scented plants and everything. So which one are you going to do?
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, I mean, the parklet is a public parklet, so in theory you could bring your own coffee with you, you could bring your own drink with you, but it clearly shows the impact that people will definitely buy coffee from those businesses. are joining it. So yes, it does have a massive impact on businesses.
And so what's next for Meristem Design? What are kind of some of the new projects you might be working on? Or I know you mentioned you have some exciting workshops that you're doing with proceeds being donated to a really great cause.
Yeah, living walls. We want everybody to have a living wall. You know, you could have a small balcony, but that balcony will have a wall. It might only be a meter high, but why not put a living wall across that meter high? You grow a vertical vegetable garden, because although a lot of our living walls that you see on the side of hotels and buildings, they've got flowers in there, they've got plants in there, but into your small courtyard, fill it full of vegetables and herbs and carrots. So what we do is it's roughly every 2 months we have a workshop where people come along, and during that we do presentations on how to do plant design, what plant species to look at, how to install a living plant, how to design a living plant by one of our members of staff. Then they are allowed to then build their own living wall using a fabric wall system for residential use, and then they can take it home with them, including the plants. It costs about, I think it's about £80, but you do get a living wall, and 30% of the proceeds, of the gross proceeds, go to a charity in the Amazon, which is involved in reforestation. So it's great. So they get a really valuable workshop. They get a living wall,
Yeah.
and 30% of the money goes to the Amazonian reforestation project. So,
which is very important, especially right now with all the fires going on there, and that have been going on for such a long time too.
Yes, it's huge, and also the lady who does it, she is from Brazil, so she talks about the Brazilian rainforest. So she raises the awareness of the Brazilian rainforest, as well as obviously the financial donations that we're allowed to do to them. So I see that as a more of a bigger and bigger part is education, because we do fabricate all of our own planters. So we have a warehouse, a fabrication unit in Cobham in Surrey. So we design, we fabricate, we install, and we maintain. So we are a group of horticulturists. We're quite unique, because normally you have a horticulturist, or you have a fabricator of steel plants, or you have a maintenance company, but we do everything, and we even do the audits before that, and it's all retained. We retain the whole process.
There's probably a lot of benefit to doing it that way and keeping it all in house, because you're able to see the end to end, and it's all consistent.
Yeah, you've got a relationship with them. As I said, for offices, we do green audits around offices. I spoke to you about the green audits around walking around an estate, for example, for local authorities. But the offices that we're in here now, we did the Shard. You're familiar with the Shard.
Indeed, big glass triangle.
Humongous, great big glass triangle. But we did 2 floors of the Shard. We planted them up, and we use like living walls. We use a wire rope trellis system. You use hanging plants from the ceiling that cascade down. So we go in, because a lot of the office people, their HR manager, the office manager, may have no idea what planting is available, and then probably will have a nice plant like yours in the back, but that is quite valuable space, especially in the Shard. The planting behind us is actually on the top of a bin. Can you see that?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So normally at the top of a bin, nothing. On top of the bin here, you have plants.
Yeah. Filtering the air and doing so much good.
Filtering the air, yeah, right. And it's by the kitchen, so it's very heavily scented. If we have time, I can show you just outside of the booth. We have plants on all the walls cascading down, because the walls, you can't, because every space in central London is so precious. But you've got walls, you've got pillars, you've got ceiling. We have like ceiling trays full of cascading plants over boardrooms, and then with a pulley system, it gets lowered. You water it, and then you pull it back up again.
Wow.
So it's not taking an inch of your valuable space, but it's providing like cascading plants coming down. And the Shard, they put it into their, they have a lot of guest clients that come in to sign big contracts. And that's where they put most of the greenery, because it makes the people who sign the contracts, lulls them into a sense of happiness. They don't know why they're feeling so happy, and then they sign away their lives and millions of pounds, and by then it's too late. But our plants kind of, have a part in that plan. Evil or not, it makes them feel happy. But, yeah, evil plants. But there you go.
So that's your secret.
Yes, plants used for evilness. There you go. So yes, we do the audits, front offices.
Yeah, fantastic. And aside from being a champion of reducing pollution and just bringing such great vibes to cities and spaces, and as you say, turning gray spaces green, what do you do in your daily life to be environmentally friendly that could inspire some of our listeners?
Well, actually, that made me think. Actually, I thought, well, that's a really good question. And at first I thought, oh, I'm going to struggle. But then I thought, actually, no, I'm not going to struggle, because last year I cut out red meat. This year I've gone vegetarian. Everybody can do that. Not only is it better for the environment, it saves you money. Red meat versus some kind of pulse. I love curries. You can probably tell my name. But yeah, I mean, cauliflower, pulse, they're so cheap to make, and it's making a big difference. So definitely go vegetarian. And it's
How
not
do you feel?
I feel fine, actually. I think I have more energy now than I had before. So, but it's been only, we're still on the 20th of January. So
This was a New Year's resolution.
yes, it was a New Year's resolution. So red meat last year, this year vegetarian. But other things, I mean, I cycle, I walk. My background is in cycling, so I cycle and walk everywhere. And something I've just started this year, and this is something else that I think your readers could do. I realised that there are about 40 trees on the street on my walk to the tube station, and then my walk from the tube station here to our offices. And I noticed at the bottom, the soil, there is no plants. So what I'm doing is I'm guerrilla seeding the tree pits. So literally I just have a little hand tool and then some seeds. So I try and put pollinating seeds in, put it in there, literally one tree a day. It takes 5 minutes. And in the summer, hopefully I'm going to see the connection of floral flowers and color and pollination at the base of each tree. And seeds are very cheap. Literally, you can do a tree pit for, I don't know, 10 pence. And then you're going to walk past it every single day. And then come the summer, you're going to, wow, they'll just suddenly appear. So I just thought guerrilla planting off tree pits. So yes.
I really hope you do that in a suit.
Yes. Well, yeah, I don't wear suits, but yes, I think yes, yeah. Just suddenly, people kind of will give you a funny look to see what are you doing. Are you hiding something? Like, no, I'm planting. So that's what I'm doing for myself.
I love that list. Yeah, thank you for that. Guerrilla seeding is something that I've never actually done, but it crosses my mind all the time. And
you got a tree outside your house or where you live, just look down.
It's just barren, dry dirt.
Correct. You just go out with a pencil, just jab some holes in it, drop the seeds into the holes, then cover it back up again. Let nature take its course. A lot of these trees are actually watered by the council.
Okay.
So you already have the water there, and then just forget about it.
So what are you planting there?
You want the kind of plants that bees will like. Obviously you've got lavender, foxglove, sunflower, poppies. You can there's a list. If you Google, you need to check what month of the year you are planting the seeds.
I see.
So so check that you're in the right month for that seed, and then there's a list of whole pollinating plants that bees like. Some of them are more practical than others, but maybe you would just want to put some color in with it. But yeah, just get get a mixed seed bag and put it in there. It's a surprise. You might not know what's going to come out until it comes out. But I mean, all seeds will have some pollinating one. But obviously, lavender is the obvious one.
Great. Well, I'll keep you in the loop and show you what how it's going.
Send us pictures.
Yeah, indeed. And so, as a way to wrap up our questions or our talk for this evening, where can we find Meristem Design? And you mentioned you're on Twitter. So how can people learn more about the work you're doing and follow along and get updates?
Yeah, I mean, the website is Meristem. Meristem is actually the cell of a plant that allows the plant to grow. So that's actually the word Meristem. That's spelled Meristem, meristemdesign.co.uk. You'll see our workshop. So if you want to come along, we do have an element that's free, that's educational. This month, it's on the 1st of February. So by the time this goes out, your listeners might have missed it, but we will put the next one on. This one is actually in Brixton in South London. The next one's going to be in central London. Come along. On our website, we have our Twitter handle, again, Meristem Design. Have a look at that. And as I said, follows, we are doing a lot of workshops. If any of your listeners have got children at a school that's next to a busy road, we'll come out, we'll have a look at it, we'll do a green audit. We have lots of connections with local authorities and with crowdfunding sites. So even if they don't have the funds, we can help them to have the funds. If they've got a living wall, if you've got a small courtyard that's looking a bit barren, or a small yard. I mean, living walls are made for small city living, city dwelling. We can green it up for you. Whatever your budget is, we can give you ideas for free, and you can green them up for free. So yes, go on our website, check us out. Obviously, you're going to have some information on yours, but yes, we often just get asked for advice, really, and we're happy to provide any advice free of charge, no commitment. We're super busy. We don't do a hard sell. we're just so busy at the moment. But yeah, if anybody needs information, advice, and we do blogs, so you will see the blogs on our website. We've done it on the benefits of green roofs. Which are the best plants to purify your air in your house. I can't remember what there's a whole series of educational blogs. So we're trying to make our website more about education and not about products and services.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It helps a lot as well, because when you educate, then people actually know what to expect and what the benefit is. And indeed, I've spent some time on your website. There's so many, even if you don't read any of the words, there's just so many pictures to look at. It's just a lot, and a lot of them are really pretty and colorful and full of greenery, and so it's just very pleasant. And on that note, Habib, thank you so much for your time. This has been really fascinating, and I can't wait to go poke holes in the dirt with pencils or a pen and start planting seeds in it. So we're best of luck with this year and your vegetarian goals as well.
Thank you very much for inviting me on your podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing the video and working. Thank you very much for inviting me.
My pleasure.
All right then. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star rating, and also please subscribe, whether on your podcast app or on YouTube. And that way you can be the first to know about new episodes. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon.